Hello. Okay, we're back on these allegations. So I wasn't planning to follow up, let's say, anything from what I've originally said, but IHOPKC have released. I can't talk. Have released a statement. So I thought it would be interesting to go through it for various reasons, because it kind of follows into what we were talking about. So in the previous videos I've said kind of like my personal perspective on doing that was like, ignore the allegations, let's kind of figure out kind of the ins and outs of this and what's going on, and try and work out, because the first thing I said is like, God spoke to me years ago and said one of the things that would happen in this season is like there would be a whole bunch of allegations made against leaders and certain church streams and ministries, and streams, ministries, denominations, etc., would fall and actually would be replaced by new ones. And the word was really about the streams and churches and ministries falling, not so much the allegations made against certain leaders, but obviously that would be part of it. And I think then, me being a bit of an IHOPper, I found that interesting. The first allegation was about Mike Bicke, because I'm like thinking about the context of the word, and that's being a major important thing of the season. And actually I didn't really want to comment, but feel I've kind of got to now in the context of the word. So again, I think the word really is to get us to understand we need to do this properly, because there are going to be lots and lots of allegations, and this is just the beginning, and a lot of those are going to be true, but some of them are going to be false. And the way this has come out couldn't be worse, really, in all sorts of different contexts. I mean, we obviously don't know if the allegations are true or not, and the point of having an investigation would be to find that out. But the way the allegations came out does like no no credit. So whether we like it or not, I think as a church, as you know, Christ's body, as a kingdom people, we need to get far more savvy at doing this biblically rather than doing it unbiblically. And this is about what's coming out. Is like none of this is biblical at all. The only biblical element and the only people that come out this with any credit is the IHOPKC leadership, and that's not to say anything about the allegations being true or false. So let's just go for this. Let me just say, so far from this, they seem to be false. It paints a picture of like the way the allegations were made and the way it's come out and what's been said as being false, and none of it's actually been proved to be true or not. It's a bit like for me in all this, why would you make an allegation and do it this way? It's not only unbiblical, it's kind of fundamentally stupid, let's say. Anyway, so there's some interesting points. Let's just go through it and try and take out the tidbits and the titillation, if we can, from the whole process. So from top to bottom, we will deliberately miss some stuff. I'll go through this slowly, so I'll try and do that. So you basically got this allegation made by a group of men led by a local Kansas City pastor. There were 3 signatories to the original complaint, as far as I know, and they were all ex-IHOPers and ex-staffers. And all played, from what I can gather, quite a critical role at points in IHOP and IHOPKC. So this calls them the complaint group, who who the complaint group is exactly, we don't know. So presented to IHOPKC's executive leadership team with serious allegations against Mike Bicke, allegedly made by 8 women whom the complaint group claimed to represent. So already we've got some dodgy language going on, allegedly and claimed, because we'll see that the allegations claimed, we'll find out, won't we? So 5 of the 8 alleged victims have been identified. 3 of the 5 have publicly called the allegations lies. Okay, let's stop. We've got a group of people making allegations. They claim about 8 instances of abuse by Mike Bicke against 8 women, or multiple allegations of abuse by Mike Bicke, which are, from the language used, abusive, manipulative, sexual in nature. Pretty serious stuff. Made by 8 women, allegedly, over, we don't know how many instances, but we have at least 8 instances. That's what we know. So 5 of the 8 have called the allegations lies. So it's like, come on. Okay, we've got 2 paragraphs into this, and it's like, what the bleep is going on? How do you become the complaint group and make allegations, and then there was an official investigation which everyone wanted, and then initially it comes out 5 of those 8 allegations you made have been, apparently by the alligators, the women, has said those allegations are not true, they're lies. So we got so we're 5 down, we're left with 3. A 4th has not wanted to communicate. We're down to 2. One lady has made allegations which are quite ancient. That doesn't matter, but it's difficult to obviously substantiate things before IHOPKC's founding, which would be in the last century, so 23 plus years ago. Right, this complaint group did not have permission to include at least 4 of the women in their list of alleged victims. So that's troubling and disturbing. Bloody blah about, I don't mean to be anything when I say bloody blah, I'm just like, I'm not going to repeat it. Some bloody blah, so about some bloody blah. So obviously with the bloody blah, I have to tick certain legal boxes there. Legal people are told them, if you're going to make a statement, you have to say this and this and this and this, and you have to say that you take the process of this seriously, you take the allegation seriously, and you're investigating it seriously and properly and everything, blah blah blah, which they are, by the way. But so the allegations are always being treated as if either they were credible or they could be credible. So at the moment, the result so far is the collection and presentation of allegations by the complaint group lacked any semblance of reliability or due process. That's pretty serious. I mean, we've got blah blah blah, and then we've got these statements which are pretty serious, and if they weren't true, you wouldn't make them, because this basically is kind of, it's several things. It's a statement, it's exchanging information, because there's a lot of gossip basically going around, and it's a legal document, so you wouldn't say that in a legal document unless you're not going to get sued for saying it, basically. So there's a document compared by the complaint group. It doesn't contain any actual evidence. It's no statements from the victims, whether sworn or unsworn, nothing. No emails, texts, or other exhibits between Mr. Bicke and the alleged victim. They're calling him Mr. Bicke now, that's legal language. Only blank squares acting as exhibit placeholders. The complaint group's allegations were also presented along with... I mean, this is just stupid to me, right? So you basically fudged the whole thing up, whoever this complaint group is, and they make a list of pre-prepared demands to prevent escalating levels of disclosure. These demands and threats, which included dictating use of IHOPKC's funds, generated an atmosphere of concern regarding the true objectives of the complaint group. So that's interesting. So this is just a repeat. So this is kind of, I think, a overview. So some of the allegations are in a document, some of them presented already. So 3 women were identified by their initials in the document. So you've got, say if I was in that document, it would be TH. That seems really quite bizarre to me. 5 anonymous. So nothing about how these women came to be represented. And then IHOP themselves were given the names of 2 additional women orally. At that point, a total of 5 alleged victims. So we know this is going to be a bit of a train wreck and a bit of a disaster. But let's go through. So it lists the alleged victims by numbers, and obviously they can't identify them. They don't want to identify them, whoever they are. But the complaints are effectively itemised. So again, named means initials. The allegation is Mike Bicke emotionally pursued and prophetically manipulated for more than 25 years. 6 lines, and it's non-sexual in nature. Okay, that's not what I think I was led to believe. Okay, nothing from the victim. It remains unclear if she gave permission for her name to be included. Okay. So she was contacted by the complaint group in early October. So this has been going on for a while, more than a month, a couple of months, and they didn't think it was important enough to say anything about it. Okay. Number 2, 26 years ago. Physical contacts. It's insinuated Mike Bicke committed a crime. IHOPKC has not been able to determine whether this criminal allegation has any credibility. So this is when they asked him, they're saying, to step down. So the attorney for IHOPKC has reached out without success. And we learned the founder of Grace was the attorney representing her regarding these allegations, whatever that is. So initial contact's been made with the attorney, the alleged victim. Number 3, the victim of being pursued emotionally and prophetic manipulation from 2013 to 2018. So this woman issued a public statement that she was not a victim of Mr. Bicke. The woman also sent a letter to IHOPKC's attorney stating that the complaint group were bullies and she never gave them permission to use her name. So that's even more disturbing. So you got an issue here. Let's stop. Where whatever's going on is going on. There are allegations of manipulation and abuse. And one of the people you're claiming has been manipulated and abused turns around and says to the people who are responsible for the person who manipulated and abused them, that actually the people making the complaint have been bullies, which is language which intimates manipulation, control, and abuse. That's quite troubling. She never gave them permission to use her name. Number 4, identified orally in conversation by the lead of the complaint group. I mean, I'm just doing this and I'm thinking, this sort of stuff has happened, not like this, but in different stuff to Mike Bicke before, in exactly the same way. Kind of, yeah. So this would be an example of how to. I mean, I'm lost for words. I really am lost for words. I mean, are these guys, are the complaint group guys, serious? This is how to make you look like it. How to make yourself look like an idiot is the first thing I'd say. And if they were serious about what they're saying, then they're not really that serious. It just smacks to me of something different, something unseen, something nefarious, so to speak, which is possibly an agenda, possibly a bias, possibly just getting emotionally caught up in something that you can't see the wood for the trees, so your whole complaint process you throw out the window and make it a joke. Obviously the final thing to say in that is, if there's anything true in this, then I mean, wow, like they basically destroyed their own complaint. I mean, it comes across at the end of the day like this is an incredulous, like, these allegations are incredulous, and that even if they are true now, they've damaged their own complaint, which is quite serious, and that has consequences. Yeah, I mean, I'm lost for words. Anyway, I'm so lost for words, I don't know what to say. So where was I? Let's get back. Woman number 4, conversation. She issued a lengthy public statement that she was not a victim. A statement also due to how she had been contacted by a member of the complaint group who basically insinuated and assumed, based on something that was said secondhand about me years ago, that I was Mike's victim. She stated that she told them very clear that she did not want to be contacted on the issue and did not want to have anything to do with the accusations coming against Mr. Bicke. Okay, so if you think this wasn't looking good, it's really not looking good at all. On the same day, October the 1st, another alleged victim released a public statement via her social media account. I think we all know who this is. If you know, if you don't, I'm not going to tell you. This is quite sick, in my opinion, refuting any claims that she'd been sexually or spiritually abused by Mr. Bicke, and that any claims to the contrary were lies. The woman had been named by the complaint group orally during a meeting before. The attorney, that is for IHOPKC, spoke with the woman 10 days after she released a statement. She maintained her emphatic denial of any misconduct by Mr. Bicke towards her of any sexual involvement with him. She's already stated she doesn't want to be contacted, and now she's got to be contacted. I mean, this is kind of sick. It's like, why have you done this? It's not true. Don't do this again. Don't contact me. Well, the other people's legal people have got to contact you now and, clarify. Because that's part of the process. Alleged victim 6. So the IHOPKC leadership received an email from a woman who had heard her name was being used. Actually, her name wasn't mentioned, I think it's saying, but she's a Sikh woman who has emerged. She approached IHOPKC's leadership team to let them know these rumours were not true. You've got so many people hurt here. You've got a leader who's permanently damaged. You've got people who are, and the people close to him, the guy has a wife, he has sons, they're obviously, what's happening in that family has never really been discussed at all, has never been said, but whatever, your heart goes out to them, your heart goes out to the victims, whatever they are, alleged true, alleged false, your heart goes out to the people who've been alleged, who have been dragged into all of this, but the only people your heart doesn't go out to is for the people making the allegations. What the bleep was their intention, would be my question. So the woman anyway facetly denies any form. She's the 5th woman to refute. So we've got 8 victims, 6 there's anything about, in terms of 2 haven't come back, 2 haven't responded. So 6 have responded, and 5 out of those 6 are refuted denials that those accusations are true. That's extremely troubling. Why make the accusations? We always come back to those questions anyway, and then one which doesn't seem to be at the moment something serious. But if it is, and the other 2 allegations are serious, then the people who again have made the complaint have kind of done the victims the wrong, ultimately, in finding out any truth. And if I were one of those victims, I now would not want to come forward and say, well, wait a minute, this is what happened to me. I mean, you're not. So anyway, that's the story. So this is the conclusion. IHOPKC has heard the demands to bring in a third party to investigate the organisation. So they're just saying this is premature. So you wouldn't bring in a third party to investigate accusations where there's no actual proof at all that any of the accusations you might want to investigate and get investigated into actually are any way true at all. There's something about the genuine intent of the complaint group. We hope, blah blah, let's just say this, we hope that by sharing our preliminary findings regarding these allegations, you will understand why it is premature at this juncture to have a third party conduct a community-wide investigation. IHOP remains open. So where are we in this sort of murky, dark, nefarious whole affair? No nearer the truth. It's just got more murky and dark. So like I said, I think, again, this is my purpose for doing this, this is not how you do this. There are so many problems. Where do you begin? Where do you end? But basically, this is the perfect example of what not to do. If you want to substantiate allegations and make allegations, that this is not how you go about it. How many things did this so-called complaint group do wrong? What shouldn't they have done? And we don't know their motives. They may be more pure than they seem, but given the investigation so far, they don't seem very pure, do they? Which makes it, guess what, more dark and more murky. I would hope there's nothing insidious about reasons why people would want to make up false allegations in the first place, and I'm not saying that's happened, but what we can definitely say is it's not certain that that's not happened. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's nothing more to say. Perfect example of how not to do this. Like I say, I think this will happen quite a few times. More times, I think it will just be open and shut book, but there'll be points in the future where, I mean, this is serious stuff. Imagine, say, a leader who has written, I'm making this off the top of my head, so if this comes anywhere true, it would be prophetic, but may well, I don't know, given what I've been told. So think of a leader, male leader, who's been in ministry for 20, 30 years, has spoken in most of the countries in the world, not all of them, obviously, has written 20, 30 books, which probably half of them he hasn't written at all. That's just the way it works. That's here nor there, but 30 odd published books, is a renowned name, is looked up to as one of the major players globally in the Western Church. One of the big, if you were to name a leader in the United States, so if you to do a survey of all people in the United States and you were to say, are you a Christian? And if they answer yes, you go, okay, I'm then now going to ask you another question. Do you know these? Who would you list? This guy would be in the top 10. This guy would be for a significant part of that. People who said yes, they're Christians, would know who this guy is. Most people would know him, and not know him. Famous, basically. An allegation of this nature is made. Same allegations of this nature, not made, different allegations. Same scenario. How would you go about doing that? I mean, how would you just go about doing that? I think the lesson is totally not like this. It goes without saying. What you would do, you do it biblically. For a start, you would approach the right people in the right manner and say the right things. You would make sure anything you are saying, let alone putting down in a document, would have the backing of what you're saying. So if you say someone's been abused, or you're making a particular allegation, you have permission to do that by that person. It doesn't matter whether that allegation happened or not, because guess what? If they turn around and say, no, that didn't happen, even if it did, and this is the whole problem with this, what woman's going to come out now and say, yep, me, I'm one of those two women, and it did happen, you know? Because everyone's going to say, wait a minute, up to now, it's all gossip and hearsay, isn't it? This is the problem. Gossip and hearsay is gossip and hearsay, you know? Snakes on a plane, snakes in the church. This is how the devil kind of has his way in the church, on multiple different levels, on this sort of thing happening, on the way Christians naturally are like the rest of the world. We gossip and we insinuate things about allegations like these, and then kind of how people who find out this stuff then proceed in a some sort of due process, which isn't very due now, is it? So yeah, it's what it is. I think, as I said at the top, we need to learn from this. And if this is there's any learning, above all, it's like, it's not very Christian, is it? Any of it. And like I say, no one's coming out of this with any credibility. People are getting dragged into it who shouldn't be getting dragged into it. Things are happening that should not be happening. It's not very Christ-like, is it? And I think we'll leave it at that. And I hope that actually this is the end. We won't have to